Akadosh Boker Or, Kinyan Masechta, Bet Amubed Masechet Megila. We were by, again, the two dots. The two dots, we're talking about the Krachim Mukafim Choma Mimot Yoshua bin Nun, Korim Chamisha Asar. We're talking about the walled cities from the days of Yoshua bin Nun, that they're going to read it on the 15th. And the Gemara asks the following question, Mena Hane Mile. From where do we know these words? So if you remember in the Daf Yomi yesterday, we actually saw Mena Hane Mile as one word. All one mnemonic, like one acronym, right? One thing. Here it's in two words. Sometimes it's even three words. Mina, from where? Hane are these. Mile, mile are milim. Milim is words. So from where are these words from? Meaning, how do we know these words? That it's going to be from the days of Yoshua bin Nun, Krachim Ukvim Chomam, Yoshua bin Nun, that they're going to read it on the 15th. So Amar Rava, Rava comes and he says, or the Rifa, the Girsa, Rav, whichever one it is, whether it's Rav or Rava, the Amar Kra, the Pasuk says, Al Ken Ayudim. So this is the beginning quote. The beginning quote starts, Al Ken Ayudim Perazim, Hayoshevim Be'area Perazot, Vegomer. Vegomer means etc. So that's where we're stopping the end quote of the Pasuk. So it starts the pasuk, Al Ken Yehudim Perazim. Therefore, the Jews which are living in scattered cities, Hayoshavim B'arei Perazot, that they're living in scattered cities. So Gomer, etc. So says the Gemara, we're making a diuk mi the Prazim be'arba asar. The fact that the Prazim, which are the scattered cities, they're going to read it when on the 14th. So mukafin b'chamisha asar. So therefore, obviously, if you're going to tell me one is going to be on the 14th, the rest are going to be when on the 15th. So ask the Gemara, ve'ema prazim. Maybe I'm going to say that to do with prazim, barbasar, right? It's going to be in the 14th. Ve'mukafin, klalu klalo. Maybe be'emet you're not going to have it at all. So ask the Gemara, ve'lav Yisraelinu. He comes and he says, what? It's not Israel? What? They're not Israel? What's going on? Right? They're Jews. Ve'odem, furthermore. Ve'hodu ve'ad kush ktiv. It's written from Hodu ve'ad kush, which means that for sure they have to read the Megillah. What does that mean? Well, you think that they're not going to read the Megillah? For sure they have to read the Megillah. Correct or not? Yeah? Fine. So says the Gemara, ve'ema prazim be'arbeisar, ve'mukafin, right, be'arbeisar over chameisar. Why don't I say that the prazim is going to be on the 14th? Yeah? And then he comes and he says, and the mukafin are going to be on both days. Yeah?
I think they are not Jews. There are mitzvot in the Torah that a certain Jew do and other Jews don't do, like Kohen, Levi, Israel.
Okay.
To ask, they are not Jew. It's not because you are a Jew that you have to do.
No, but doctor, when you're talking about that, that has to do with lineage. All Jews are chayavim Megillat Esther. So what's the difference between? Meaning, I'm not going to say only a Kohen has to do Megillat Esther. Ma kasher. You understand? So therefore, because of that, so therefore it has to be exactly. Meaning at the end of the day, what's the difference? Why would a walled city be patur? You understand? Like it doesn't make sense. Like, well, everybody's a Jew. Everyone has to read the Megillah. You understand? It's not like everybody has to take off Tumot Masol because that only goes to a Kohen. It's a question that exactly. It's on everything. It's on everything. You understand? So he comes and he says, right? He says like this. He says, "Mukafin bar beisar v'chameisar." כדכתיב, וזה says in the פסוק, להיות עושים את יום 14 לחודש אדר ואת יום 15 בו, בכל שנה ושנה. Yeah? Everyone understood? So he comes and he says like this. So answers the Gemara, Ihava ktiv, if it was written at yom 14 ו-15, if it was written the 14 and the 15, כדקאמרת, so then it's true, exactly like what you said it. But hashta dichtiv, but now that it's written Yom 14 ve'et Yom 15 bo, right? Ata et upasak. Comes the et and it made a pasek. Hani barbasar ve'hani b'chamishasar. This one's going to be on the 14th, and this one is going to be on the 15th. Okay? Fine. This is what we did yesterday. Right? We're continuing. Right? So he says, ve'ema prazim ba'arbeisar mukafin ibau ba'arbeisar ibau b'chamishasar. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Why don't I say that the prazim is going to be on the 14th and the mukafin, they get to choose. If they want, they could do the 14th, and if they want, they could do the 15th. So Amar Kra, the pasuk comes and he says, we're going back to what we learned right a few days ago on Bet Amud Aleph, Bizmanehem. You remember what was the three different types of the Bizmanehem? We had one of them was Bazman, which is basically on the proper time, which was Lugufe. We had Bizmanam. Bizmanam was teaching you Zmano shel zeh, zelo kizmano shel zeh. And then we have Bizmanehem, which is coming to include other days as well, right? Whether it's going to be the Yud Aleph and Yud Bet v'chule v'chule. Okay? So he comes and he says like this. Amar Ka, the Pasuk says, are you with me? Yeah? The Pasuk says Bizmanehem. What is Bizmanehem? Zmano shel zeh, lo zmano shel zeh. What does that mean? It's not the same time. Meaning they cannot come and make a decision. You know what? I'm going to decide. This year I want to do the 14th. Next year I want to do the 15th. The next year I'm going to do the 15th. The year afterwards I'm going to do the. They cannot decide that. Why? Because it's never the same time. The walled cities cannot have the same time as the regular cities,
But
right?
they could decide where to be next year.
You could always decide where you're going to be in life, right? A person could always decide where they're going to be in life, right? Yeah.
The next day you go to
100%, because at the end of the day, you could be. Why not?
Because where are you residing?
Okay, so right now I'm residing here, and next year I'm going to move. I can't move. Of course I can move. Yeah, 100%. It depends on where you're living. Depends on where you're living. But we're talking about that the actual city cannot make the decision. Meaning, right? They cannot come and decide, right, according to how they're doing it. Okay? So says the Gemara, right? בזמניהם, זמנו של זה, לא זמנו של זה. ואימה, so says the Gemara, בתליסר. Why don't I say then that it's going to be on the 13th? That the walled cities are going to read on the 13th. So answers the Gemara, Keshushan. What does that mean like Shushan? He says, right, just like Shushan was going to be on the 15th, right, and it was a walled city, so too here we're going to come and we're going to say that it's going to be on the 15th. Yeah? Shh. Okay? So he comes now and he says like this. Says the Gemara, Ashkechan Asiyah. We just found Asiyah. Asiyah is to do it, because it says Liot Osim et Yemei HaPurim Ha'eleh. Osim is to do it. That was the first Torah Ora Shalem when he brings the pasuk, when he says Al Ken Yehudim HaPerazim Yeshuvim Be'arei Perazot Osim et Yom Arba Asar Lechodol. Right? And then it says again, Osim לקיים עליהם, right? להיות עושים את יום 14 לחודש אדר ואת יום 15 בו. Everything is עשייה. עשייה is to fulfill, to do a mitzvah. There's a concept of zechira. Zechira is remembering or mentioning. So therefore, it says the Gemara, Ashkechan Asiyah. I only found Asiyah. Zechira minalan. How do you know Zechira? Zechira is reading it, like reading the Megillah. So he says, Amarka, again the Pasuk says, Vayamim ha'ele nizkarim v'na'asim. Right, that's the Pasuk. Right? It's a start bracket. Again, it's a start quotation mark. Vayamim ha'ele nizkarim v'na'asim. You finish. Here we're making a hekesh. Zechira la'asiyah. Yes, and Asiyah is doing the Yamim Tovim, meaning Seudah, Matanon Levionim, doing it. No, it's never. You don't do something reading. Kiddush is not a lo la'asot et Shabbat. Kiddush is zachor et Yom Shabbat HaKadosho. You have to remember. How do you remember it? Zochreu kiddush al yain. What? That's the negative commandments. You're not allowed to do actions. Yeah. Shamor v'zachor. Shamor is the negative commandments, not doing a melacha. That's shamor. Zechira is reading something, mentioning something, doing something, right? But not doing as an action.
So why are we talking about the 14 and the 15 parts of Zechira?
One more time. What is our Mishnah? Megillah what? Nikret. We're talking about Kriyat Megillah. Kriyat Megillah is not Asiyah. Kriyat Megillah is Zechira. So therefore, when we come and we start talking about all these things, the Gemara asks, we only found Asiyah. How do we know Zechira is Oto Dovar Kemo Asiyah? So we just made a Hekesh. Juxtaposition. Vayamim ha'ele nizkarim v'na'asim. Nizkarim v'na'asim. Zecher and Asiyah. We're putting them together. Which one? Megillat Esther. Megillat Esther. Vayamim ha'ele nizkarim v'na'asim.
Yeah, and Rabbi, right.